Lammas! I just thought I'd pop in and create this super quick video for you just to give you some information about this festival and show you how I make my corn dolly, which is going to go on my altar there behind me when I change it and transform it into my Lammas altar, which I'm going to tell you a little bit about today and some of the decorations and associations so that you can create your own Lammas altar to celebrate this time of the year. So Lammas is celebrated on the 1st or 2nd of August in the Northern Hemisphere. It's the first festival of three harvest festivals of the year. It's known as the Grain Festival. Then we have the Fruit Festival and the festival for harvest of nuts and seeds later on in the year. But at this time we are celebrating the harvest of the grain, and so we are giving thanks to the abundance of Mother Nature. We are giving thanks to the sun and Mother Earth for the bounty of food that is going to sustain us through the winter. And how we do that is through baking and feasting and crafting and socializing and just generally having a lovely time. So when we were growing our own food, most of our own food, this particular Sabbath, this festival, was really important because if we'd had a good year and we'd had good yields, that would mean sustenance and everybody being able to eat throughout the cold, dark winter months. So it was really important to celebrate that, and so there was a lot of ritual and ceremony around it. For example, the first sheaf of grain would be ceremonially cut and then ground and baked into the first loaf, and that would be shared with the community. And then the last sheaf of grain would be ceremonially cut and made into a corn dolly. And this often represented the grain mother or John Barleycorn, depending if it was made into a female or a male effigy. And this corn dolly would be put at the centre of all of the festivities. It would be have pride of place at the feast. It would be put on the altar. It would be subject to all of the thanks and the gratitude of the community to nature for the bountiful, abundant harvest. And then it would be returned back to the earth to return the fertility to the earth and also the spirit back to the earth for another bountiful harvest the following year. So some of the associations of this particular festival, as you would have guessed, the colour is the bright sort of sunny colours. When you think of ripened grain, you think of gold, yellow, we've got orange and red, but we've also got green, because even though they are autumnal colours, we're not completely into autumn yet. We've still got a lot of verdant greenery around us, so we also will be using the colour green as well. The element is of course fire. Some of the foods, again, as you would have guessed, anything to do with grains, your own freshly baked loaves of bread, anything like basically the foods that you would be naturally harvesting at this time of year. So apples and pears, crab apples, wild berries. Drinks would include meadow sweet tea, because that's abundant at this time of year, and then alcohol, so wine, cider, beer, things like that. Decorations would be your freshly baked loaves, and these are some things that you can decorate your Lammas altar with if you want to. So freshly baked loaves, your corn dolly if you choose to make one, and then any symbols of the harvest, so anything in those colours. You might like to choose some candles in red, gold, yellow, flowers of orange and yellow, things like sunflowers, marigolds, chamomile. All of those things are really beautiful. Oak leaves you might like to use to decorate your altar space. Baskets, anything that represents harvest tools, anything like that that you can think of that really brings alive the energy of this season. And so deities that were particularly worshipped at this time of year, well, this festival is also known as Lunasa, in honour of the Celtic sun god Lu. And so he is a deity that is associated with this time of year, but also you could think about any other deities that are associated with the sun, so Helios, Ra, anyone like that. Also earth goddess, so Mother Gaia, Demeter is often associated as the earth goddess as well, so anybody like that would be a really good deity to work with at this time of year. And also John Barleycorn, who represents obviously the grain and the harvest, and Dionysus, who represents abundance and grapes, so representation of wine and something that you would be having this time of year if you drink alcohol. I personally don't. So the themes for this festival, as you would guess, gratitude, thanksgiving, abundance, prosperity, fruitfulness, generosity, sustenance, reverence. So any magic or spell work or ritual or journaling that you want to do around those themes would be a really great thing to do at this time of year. If you enjoyed that information and you'd like even more information, coupled with a Lammas bread ritual and also a Lammas celebration planner workbook, I have created a free one for you. I've linked to how you can download that in the comments, so if that's something that sounds like it might be useful to you, then go ahead and download that. It's got some information about the history that I touched on earlier. It's got all of those associations in there, and probably some more that I've just forgotten when I'm telling you like this. It's also got some ways to celebrate as well, which I haven't gone into today. So I think there's 7 ideas to celebrate Lammas in there, and then the bread ritual, and then it's also got the workbook section, so it's got specific places where you can plan out everything that you want to do, your celebration, your altar decorations, your ritual, your meal plan with your family. And then it's got a diary section as well, which is going to help you to review what you did, so you can write down what you did, and you can write down your results and how you felt, and record it so you can look back next year or later on in the year and see what you did and see the results of all of your efforts. And then there's some journaling prompts as well, so there's 6 journaling prompts with space for you to write in the actual workbook that are themed around this particular time of year and the themes that are present at this time of year, so you can go a little bit deeper into that self-reflection if you want to. Okay, so without further ado, I have my wheat here. So you could obviously, just get myself comfy, you could obviously harvest this yourself if you are on friendly terms with a farmer. Always ask permission, of course, before you take anything, and always respect the land. But I don't have that around me. I mean, I probably do if I dug and I looked, but I found it easier to buy this. So this is just dried wheat stalks, and I bought this as a bundle online, and it wasn't really that expensive. So this is obviously very dry. So if you wanted to do any of the kind of corn dollies where you're weaving the stalks, then you'd want to soak this in water a little bit first to soften it up, otherwise they'll just snap. But I'm not going to do any weaving. I'm just going to tie them together, so this should be fine for me. And I definitely won't need all of these, so I'm actually going to make something else with these. I'm actually going to make a ceremonial besom broom for my altar space here with some of these as well, and I'm going to decorate it really nicely. So I think there's like 100 stalks here. So yeah, you definitely will get a few projects if you choose to buy a bunch like this. And so there are lots of different ways to do that. Some people will have it up this way and have the ears of wheat being the head, and then the stalks down here either being the skirt, or you can tie them if you want to make a boy. You can tie them like that. But I actually like to have it this way, because I think that the ears actually make a really pretty skirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, so I don't want mine to be too tall either, so I'm actually going to cut my stalks off probably about just a little bit more, no, probably about half actually, yeah. Let's go for half. So you just need some sharp scissors. You can see there, that's the beginning of my corn dolly. Now I'm just gathering up the bits that I cut off, because these are not going to go to waste. I don't like to waste anything. So I'm actually going to use these as the arms. So what I'm going to do to begin with is I'm going to cut myself some string. This is just raffia, so this is completely biodegradable. It comes in a little spool like this. And I chose autumn colours, so it's got orange, yellow, red and green, so the colours of this festival. And I don't want to use anything that's plastic or that's not degradable, because I just feel that it's just much nicer if you're honouring nature to honour nature properly. So I'm just going to put those in between my knees so that I can use both of my hands. Tie it nice and tight. So there you have it tied together, and it actually looks like a broom already, doesn't it? But that's another craft. Okay, so then I'm going to take my sticks, like this. I probably don't need all of them. And I'm going to open this up in half and pop them in the middle there. In fact, I can probably take some out because she doesn't need to have arms that are too thick. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap these strings that I have loose here, I'm going to wrap them around the arms to secure them in place. And like any craft, you know, this is really personal, so I'm just choosing to make it this way. You may like to make it the other way up, or you know, use different colours or anything like that. It's totally fine. There we go. So it's probably not going to win any prizes for the most pretty corn dolly, but it is in the shape, in the rough shape of a grain mother representation. And one thing you can do for the head, if you have them, is you can either wrap like a small ball or a crystal inside some, or a stone inside some corn husk. So you know the bits of corn on the outside, the husk on the outside of a corn on the cob, that can be used. Again, you can buy them dried, or you can just buy some fresh corn on the cob and use that. And you can wrap that around something round, and then you can tie it to the top here, so you can create a little head as well. But I don't have that, so I'm just going with this. This is fine for me and for my purposes. She is going to be my representation, and then I'm going to tie some more ribbons around her, and I'm going to just decorate her and make her look really pretty. And there we go, there she is. So I just tied a bow around her head, and I tied some more raffia around her skirt to give her a bit of decoration down here, and then I tied a ear of grain onto her hand, so she's holding up the symbol of the harvest. So there she is, and she will go on my altar there when I decorate it with all my beautiful Lammas decorations and colours. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this video useful, or at least somewhat entertaining. And please do check out my Lammas guide and celebration planner if that sounded interesting to you. And you can also check me out at my website, highpriestesstemple.com. Instagram is the same name, High Priestess Temple. Feel free to send me a message or leave me a comment below if you want to connect, and I will get back to you. Thanks so much, and have a wonderful Lammas. See you soon.